I know you were married to George Dwinell for 40 wonderful years. Would you please tell us a little bit about that part of your life?
Well, it's probably one of the better. It is probably the best part of my life. Well, no, kids are too, but anyhow, uh, I met George long before we got married. He was one of my better customers when I was working at a bar, at the Aries bar, and he'd come in almost every night. And once in a while, he'd bring his wife in, and I knew they were married. I had no intentions of ever messing around with George. But after a couple of years, I got to watch, and his wife was messing around a lot more than he was. But I still did not. I was not interested in George. But one night, his wife asked me, she said she knows that I love to play poker, which I do. And she said, I want to go out of town with this boyfriend of hers. She said, would you play poker with George, just keep him busy? And there's a big poker game. And I said, sure. And that's what started our relationship. But it didn't take very long, and he moved into my trailer. Gave up a beautiful home. And he had 6 vehicles then, Thunderbirds and old cars and Broncos, and he didn't care. He gave them all to her. He gave her everything and came and lived in a trailer with me. Oh, I don't know what he saw, but anyhow. But anyhow, we had 40 wonderful years together. And he mended, when I got that ranch, the 300 acres, he never had a thing to do with the cattle. That wasn't him. And I didn't want him to. But he mended a lot of fences for me in more ways than one. He was a wonderful, wonderful man. I just lost a couple of years ago with Alzheimer's. It was horrible to watch a smart man go down to nothing. Yeah, he didn't know who he was then. And I took care of him for 6 years. But then one night, he almost burned our house down. And thank God our neighbors came over early in the morning, and our house was full of gas. And he loved to hear that clicking on the stove, electric stove, or a gas stove it was. And that's what he kept going back and doing it. So I finally had to put him in a home. Yeah. Yep, sure miss that boy. Yeah, he was a insurance man at first. Now he didn't sell insurance, he settled claims. And after we were first married a little while, I had the ranch and everything, but he wasn't getting along good at his job. They weren't busy, so we knew he was getting laid off. And he had an opportunity to go to Arizona and work at Scottsdale Insurance. And so I thought, well, that sounds fun. I can do that too. But it meant giving up all my cattle, selling my trailer, my pins, my portable pins, everything I owned, I had to sell. George got out of the hospital. He had to go on and go to Arizona for that job. And so then I went down and looked, and we couldn't afford to live in Scottsdale, Arizona. Oh, way out of our league. We didn't have any money anyhow. And where was I going? So anyhow, we found this house that was a repo, and a government repo. And it was big. I mean, it was like, well, I don't know exactly, a half an acre, I guess, or more in town. And it had a beautiful swimming pool. Oh, it was huge, like a motel pool. And a tennis court, and land, and you look over the McDowell Mountains. But the inside of the house had been totally trashed. And George and I got a realtor, went and looked at it, and you walk in the house, and there was a bar. You walk right to a bar. This will work. And he went one way and I went the other. We met in the kitchen and said, "We can fix it." It was so bad. I don't know what we were thinking. The kitchen was so, the kids, they let their kids just run wild evidently. And they pulled the doors off of the cupboards and they'd stand in the dishwasher. They'd knock the door off and they finally pulled. It was horrible what they did to us. I think a lot of it was deliberate. And anyhow, but we thought, oh yeah, we can fix this one. And only it was me that ended up doing most of the fixing because he went to work every day. And honest to God, I put 153 gallons of paint on that house because a lot of it was a wall around it, a cinder block wall. But it wore out these wood sprayers. Yeah, sure, what was those? Anyhow, paint sprayers. Yeah, I wore out 2 of them on that wall. But then we sold it and I made good money. But we weren't planning to sell it. But one day we were going down to Home Depot buying some more parts for it. And on the way down there's a for sale, estate sale like thing. On the whole house, everything was for sale. And we went in there and people were dressed to the hilt and I was dressed in a sweatshirt and I looked like a rag queen. You know, and for some reason the owner there picked on us. All these people, all fancy, wanting this house. It was beautiful, another beautiful. I mean, it was really a gorgeous house, 2 stories though. And so the guy, the realtor, picked us. I don't know that whole crowd why he would decide that. Maybe he thought we just were that dumb that we'd go along. What most people didn't realize, and that's, I shouldn't even say this, but you can sell 5 houses and not pay income tax if you're living in them yourself for 2 years each. Yeah, and most people don't know that. So like if you're making whatever you're making, I mean, just think how much more. Like something you made 50 on, you actually make 70. Yeah. And then you get to where you paid one off, so then you go buy another one. Yeah, but you're not giving it all away on interest.
Right. And income tax.
And income tax, yeah.
So then from that house, where did you go after you sold that house?
We sold it and then went out in the country and bought one that, that's the one that I designed the backyard and put in a pool. It didn't have any of that. It had the kiva and that was all. That thing, oh, it was beautiful. Yeah.
And what kind of money did you make on that?
200.
In 2 years?
And, yeah, and it would have made more, but the times got tough in between.
Right.
Yeah, at one time that house brought $1 million. Yeah. We sold it for 5. Yeah.
Wow.
Vacation I was on, I'd get up in the night to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find the bathroom. I'd head for a closet. It was horrible. You don't think about that when you buy a house that's flipped up, right? Everything is exactly opposite of where you think it was. But anyhow, made it through that one too, and we sold it. But, well, the reason that we sold so many partly is because I did not like Arizona. I got so, I mean, you had to ration your air. Air conditioning was your biggest thing down there, and you couldn't afford it. You could have a $400 light bill really quick, and you couldn't you couldn't bake on like Thanksgiving because that was a Thursday. The only time you could overuse stuff was on the weekend because they kept all of their air or their coolant time for businesses. Yeah. But George worked in a business all day long in a suit and tie, and and air conditioning and everything, and he didn't really know how bad it was, but every other August he'd come with me to put up a for sale sign out in the yard, because I'm going back to Colorado. But we sold 4 of them, and then, oh heck, we gotta move on.
On the last house, you made money on that one again?
Yeah,
Big numbers, yeah.
not as much, yeah. Yeah, we got there right in that recession that if you had enough money to buy something, you better buy it.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, that one that it went down so bad that, yeah, it could have been $1 million house. But we still did good on it.
Yeah, you weren't real happy there.
No, it wasn't for me. Well, I thought you could raise cattle in Arizona. Nobody told me, you don't do that in Arizona.
In Scottsdale.
Or even Arizona. The
hot.
cattle couldn't take the heat.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, because people been tickled to death to live in Scottsdale.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm built wrong.
You really missed Colorado, huh?
I did.
Well, stay tuned for what happens next in Colorado.
Okay.